Look, Boiler, I'll start with you on this one. You said you liked Edmonton's start. I mean, it was 1-0 Florida on top after one. It felt like completely different teams there in the middle frame. 3-1 outscored in advantage of Florida. What happened in the middle period?
It just looked like the belief might have left them for a minute. They were waiting for something bad to happen to them. It was we talked about the unfortunate bounces, or we talked about let their foot off the gas, or they just weren't quite as engaged in certain things, and it starts here. There's a bit of a miscommunication, but great teams say, hey, shake that off. That's okay. We'll get back to it. And, they have full possession here. Darnell Nurse kind of makes a softer play on his backhand where he had some space, and then they just get kind of cut through like a hot knife through butter with that 2-on-1 with Rodriguez and Barkov, and that was in a short span. They were coming. I mean, you can play shifts where nothing happens. It's fine. And Edmonton wins games where they do give up some chances going against them, but they end up scoring. They have that ability to do so, and they had some really high-end, high-danger chances in this game, and they weren't getting that in the last game, I didn't think. And I thought that was a good message saying, we can stay up here, but it caught up to them. It looked like they looked defeated in the second period, and the game had lots of time left.
I said this to you guys before. And I don't think you're insinuating this, because I agree with you. They had a lot of looks, right? And a lot of times Bob was making that save, and they generated a lot. But I don't consider this to be like game one. Game one for me was a game that they should have won, but Bobrovsky stole that one for Florida. Now, Bob was incredible in this game. I just feel like this was it was sloppy at times. It was all those things you just said. And that's the thing is, that's fine. But you're going to need, the way they're playing right now, their lack of details, they're going to have to score 5 or 6 every night. This was the most you had. What did they have coming into tonight? They had
2.
They had 2.
They got 3 tonight.
So you know what I'm saying? Like it's tough sledding for this team, because I don't pay attention to how much they generate. It's more what they're giving up, and they're giving up terrible things at the wrong time, and it's when the puck is completely in their possession, and then 3 seconds later it's in the back of their net. This is all self-inflicted. That's a word we used a lot watching this game tonight.
I watched them have the ice tilted. I watched them grind. I watched them play a certain way that wasn't the way they had success in the past. The Edmonton Oilers, they were putting pucks in deep. They were grinding. You looked at these guys, and they're trying a different way, and they did all that, and they had chances, and then it was like the goal. They give up a goal that was handed. They gave it to Florida. It wasn't like Florida earned it, and that can really set you back. That can take all the air out of your sails as a team. This is a 1-1 game. The shots were okay. They were dictating play by drawing more penalties. Things were happening. The crowd was into it, and that just took the life out of them. This goal here was, as self-inflicted as you get. But
the one right after,
the one after was just as bad.
And you said it. There's parts of the game where they played right. They played the right way. They're getting it deep, getting on the forecheck, hitting, getting pucks to the point, shooting, and then there'd just be an egregious mistake. They'd fall asleep, and Florida doesn't need much. Another one right here. This is right after that goal. You got to get one back for Stuart Skinner. It ends up being a turnover on should be a clean breakout. Everybody's going the wrong way. Sam Bennett, and then this just deflated the building. It was so quiet in here after that. And you just can't have those moments against a team like Florida, because they'll give you some chances, but they're always tight. You're talking about it. They're collapsing in tight. Even though they make a mistake, everybody's coming back and protecting. Edmonton, somebody makes a mistake, and it's see you later. It's a breakaway, or it's a 2-on-1, and it's a clear-cut chance where you could say Stu's got to make the save, but unfortunately, they were just too many big mistakes that just compound themselves, and at the wrong times, at bad game management. So
I said they had 2 goals coming in. They only have one shutout in game 1 and just 1 in game number 2. Like we said, a good start here by the Edmonton Oilers. Every time you felt like they had a chance, Sergei Bobrovsky, we're thinking, how the heck did he get over there to make those saves? And a lot of times he was there well in advance of that puck getting there.
There's goalies you see that make saves that look like theatrical almost. They're acrobatic, right? And Sergei Bobrovsky certainly can do that. But this was controlled. This was almost like he knew the play was coming when it did. I love this play. This is early in the game with McDavid throwing kind of a burger on net to see if he can get some chaos going. But there wasn't a lot of room on the east-west plays that you saw. And this was the best example of it. He's over, he's square. There's a little daylight to the left of that, but I still think he makes that save on Leon Draisaitl. How he controlled his his lateral movement and how even not just the save itself, but then the rebounds after. He was so dialed in. That's why we thought this game was out of reach at 4. It ended up being out of reach at 4, but we didn't think they were going to score 3 on him because he was so dialed in.
Yeah, it's got to be so demoralizing if you're Edmonton. You go back after the first period. We're up here being like, they should have had a couple goals there. And he's making those saves. You're sitting in the room, and the seed of doubt gets planted and planted over again, and he's watered that seed right now, and it's in full bloom. I mean, they finally got to him, but it was the depth guys that got to him. They need the top guys to find a way to beat him because the depth guys have showed up, especially tonight. McLeod, Broberg, guys that get goals that don't generally get it by playing the right way and getting pucks and bodies to the net and elevating pucks, and the top guys just haven't been able to figure them out, and that's scary because for Edmonton they need those guys if they want to win or at least make a comeback in the series.
Bob's won 2 Vezinas already, Stanley Cup Finals last year. This guy, I think even coming into this finals or this year, he's a conversation for the Hall of Fame. This may, if they end up closing this thing out, I think this may solidify that for Sergei Bobrovsky. But my point being is that when their D and all the details in front of him are so good that now Bob can be even more aggressive, right? Like Bob can sit there and be like, oh, this pass is going over to Leon. I'm not cheating over there, but I'm anticipating it, so I'm waiting for it. And if anything else happens, I mean, how good are they in front of the net with lifting sticks, boxing out? I mean, you've made this great point, B, during the game. I mean, every single time it feels like Edmonton gets the puck from low to high to the point man, you're sitting there thinking, oh, here we go. Like, they had many times like that. But when they go D to D, there's no one in front of the net. When it reverses side, so you brought this up, you got to go strong side shots. And I know that you've got time to move it quick, bop, bop, D, but then that defenseman's 45 feet out with nobody in front. They box out so elite. And so Sergei Bobrovsky, all those things you said about him, how much more confident he could be. He could challenge everything. He could be overly egregious on every shot because he knows the details around him are being taken care of.
Hey, you saw, I mean, it's so difficult as a forward. You win a battle in the corner, you take one stride, and you're already getting boxed out. They haven't even reached the dots yet, and they're getting boxed out. And that's the system. So if they're going to give anything away, they give the weak side D away, the Florida Panthers do, and then they reassess and they figure out where to go from there. And unfortunately for Edmonton, when they do go D to D, they can't get down and shoot it and score from the point because Sergei Bobrovsky's not letting in a 40-foot shot.
Yeah, their box outs have been incredible too. The Florida defensemen, like, they're not letting anybody get, and when they're getting and lunging into the paint, it's, again, you said they don't have time to elevate pucks because they're getting contested at every turn, and they did for majority of the game, Florida, just a great job of boxing out and making it so tough on those Edmonton forwards to generate anything in tight.